Hi everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. A new year, new clients, as well as new projections for the new year of 2024. So looking at the stock first, it was a rough week to start off the new year with Palantir being down almost around 9%. We touched into the 15s briefly on Friday throughout the day and testing that in the $16 range to test as support. So we'll see if 16 will act as support or resistance following next week. Now, news-wise, Palantir starts off with a bang. Palantir continues to show its support for helping Israel against Hamas without any apologies here. You can scroll through the X comments for, anyone against them, anyone for them, but the main thing here is that their board of directors meeting for the first one of the year will be taking place there in Tel Aviv in Israel. Now, speculation-wise, there will probably be some of the Palantir folks meeting up with the government leaders or IDF officials because of the priority they are putting in defending the U.S. ally in the region. But regardless of your politics, this is not surprising for a Palantir shareholder and hopefully leads to some good news. Now, partnership-wise, we kind of got a secret reveal for two more clients on their FedStart page that scrolls through who they're working with currently. And two showed up that weren't there before, at least back in September, LILT and Rizqly. Now, they're both kind of startup-y and small, but regardless, they do appear to be trying to participate in the government contracts, meaning FedStart will help them easily reach that FedRAMP or IL certifications needed for certain bids. So it's always great for these surprise customers popping up, and my personal opinion is that the FedStart program is a great way for Palantir to get in on the ground floor of these potential government contractors before they get big, and they may expand if they're successful. And of course, as they scale, their business with Palantir does so too. In this case, I'd say it's a numbers game like venture capital or VC funds, where the more partners, the better, and then the probability of getting that one that really pops off increases. You really need that one winner to outscale your losers. And then on the Schwab network, we get some bold statements.
Yeah, Palantir is one of these companies, we were looking at Microsoft to continue the AI play, but we wanted something cheaper for our investors. So we're accumulating Palantir on a very limited basis right now. We're looking at the stock to make easily 18 to 20%, and that's being super conservative right now because it's in a sector of growth. This is a hot sector right now, but for how long? We think it's a long-term play. We think it could easily be 18 to 24 months, and we're going to far surpass that number that we came in. They have so many uses for their AI, but more importantly, the government and security uses, those are really where we see the growth in this particular company, and of course the private sector.
So from Achilles Larea, who likes Palantir apparently, although because of the current valuation, they are adding shares on a limited basis, but still sees them as a good long-term play for the AI market. He especially likes the growing number of use cases and applications of Palantir that seems to be across different industries. Now, in his own words, he thinks Palantir can do 18 to 20% easily, so we'll see if he's right for 2024, but in the end, do what's right for yourself, and remember, big money can also be wrong, even if they have more resources. And then we've got a new article out in Germany where they inquire the different states to see if they had any plans for using Palantir or any analytic software for their policing. And first, unsurprisingly, there were a lot of states that had no plans or considerations to do so, meaning even Palantir wouldn't win there, but especially with the recent rulings by the courts making it more difficult to practically implement the solution across different states. But a few states like Berlin and others are either actively testing out or considering joining the current states using Palantir's policing solution, and that's built through Gotham. And for those new, the current states using already are Bavaria, North Rhine-Westphalia or NRW, and Hesse. So I still see this as a win where it seems Palantir's management wants to set expectations for Germany and France, where, Alex Karp vented his frustration with the last earnings call, but it's not completely dead in the water for them out in Germany. So at least, albeit there may be some legal hurdles and of course a much more limited market, but who knows how things will develop later on. And then we also get a new blog post from Palantir covering their ontology, especially around AI decisions, called Connecting AI to Decisions. And what I like is it's really showing the true power of their products, which really relies on the ontology, which gives real meaning to data. And it's not as simple as connecting the data itself, but also the logic or processes, as well as the actions or execution on that data and taking it into account into the whole system. Now, if you think about how an ontology gives a real picture that's full there, you have your current state of data, you have the relationships between how they affect each other, but then you also have your actions upon that and how it changes the whole ecosystem. This is important for AI because it's a growing and living twin of the company that takes full account of what's actually happening, rather than just looking backwards only at the data, which would only be retrospective, but not taking into account actual relationships and actions that have happened and then making sure that you can adapt to that. Now, in addition, they give it an operational example with the fictitious Titan Industries here, and that's to really give that overarching view from the AI and humans at the top and how it flows to them from the data, logic, and action sources that they pointed out, because it's all running the ontology and interacting together to ensure the full picture is there. So take a look at the blog post when you have a chance. And then we've got the analysts coming out. First, we have on Yahoo Finance with Dan Ives. Very short interview, but they get a Dan Ives perspective on AI and the market going forward with tech. We already know he's very bullish for tech coming into 2024 and repeats the talking points on Palantir of being the Messi of AI, the exploding number of use cases, as well as being the first call alongside Microsoft for organizations trying to figure out AI. But we also get this kind of shocking statement, at least for me, where he thinks that the stock can double within 12 to 18 months possibly. Obviously, he didn't say it will, and it's not the official analyst report or price target for Wedbush, which still stands at $25 currently. But saying it on the media definitely was a bold move in my own opinion. Now, the realism of this happening isn't out of this world, I'll say, just as certain market conditions and company performance could push this if expectations become greater with either better actual earnings or guidance from management. But that remains to be seen and is definitely not for sure and has all the execution risk, especially when you could argue the rich valuation of Palantir stock today just based on their $2 billion in revenue and of sub 20% quarter-over-quarter growth we've seen so far. So basically, it's still time to prove themselves in 2024. And then this pulls over to the other side, though, of the spectrum against Palantir. Friday started out pretty down in the pre-market for Palantir due to the analyst report from Jefferies, which downgraded Palantir from a hold to a sell/underperform. And with this, they also decreased their price target from $18 to $13, which is 28% lower. Now, do as you want with this information and with these analyst reports, but essentially their argument is overvaluation and the hype dying from AI as the main points, and then also the lack of monetization strategy for AIP, which anyone can argue now here, but at least Palantir seems to be doing the first part of the sales funnel with AIP boot camps and getting customers in the door and just drumming up that excitement. But they got to close the deal still, and we haven't seen that yet. So we'll see if there are inklings in this in the next management reveal of this info, probably from the next earnings though, in my opinion. But essentially, it's the low-hanging fruit anyone can go after Palantir for. If you look at any traditional metrics of price to sales, price to earnings, or anything, just the uncertainty around that when it comes to the lack of AIP monetization strategy is needed to go after. And obviously, a broken clock is right twice a day, but still needs to show the tip ranks performance of Brent Hill, the Jefferies analyst. But we'll see who ends up right in the end, the Bears or the Bulls. And then we've got our favorite talking head here, Jim Cramer. Please let me know if you actually believe that. But entertainingly, Palantir came up on the lightning round and he goes off like for 30 seconds that I don't hate Palantir, which is funny from the guy who said they weren't a real company a ways back. But at the end of the day, he invited them to come onto CNBC for an interview to talk about their latest quarter, which he liked. So just entertainment from my perspective, but always cool if you can actually get an interview out there because it gives a chance for management to actually reveal new information that we didn't know about before. And then we've got the NHS investigating a possible contract breach with Palantir regarding a possible campaign that never came to light. I made a whole video on it last night ASAP just so folks understand the situation. Essentially, they're trying to see if a non-pursued social media campaign regarding clearing up misinformation around the NHS FTP contract constituted a breach of contract. So the section of contract 24.1 notes Palantir needs a written consent from the NHS before any of this promotion stuff. So we'll see what the investigation by the NHS turns up, as this is still a developing situation. So it looks like we're starting off the year continuing the Palantir Daily episode strong, as well as the weekly. But thank you for watching the first weekly Palantir of 2024, and I'll see you in the next video.